What are your best this customer is totally trying to screw us over stories. I used to work for a furniture company in the mid-90s. One day, we got a memo that there was a former co-worker who was using stolen cards to do in-store pickups or deliveries to fake addresses, like an apartment, but they would pick up the furniture in the apartment lobby, claiming the elevator was broken or something. The FBI was getting involved because it was in the amounts of thousands of dollars across state lines. A few days later, I got a call, a big order, the kind of order that would blow over quota and give me a bonus. Can you deliver this to New Jersey? Sure. I took down the credit card info. Then I asked for a callback number so I could relate the shipping info. They hesitated. I said MasterCard required it. Let me give you a Visa. Then, okay. I told that info, and then said, oh, I forgot. Visa does, too. I'll call you back, they said. So I called the home office and told them I think it was those guys. The MO checked out, and they said if they call back, try and get an Amex card, and then don't ask for a callback number. Just set up delivery. And hours later, they called back, got my assistant, and I told her to just take the order. When it was completed, she had an Amex card order for some ungodly amount. I called the home office, and they arranged a sting with the FBI. Later, the drivers told me what had happened. They had to make a rendezvous point where they loaded a bunch of armed agents into the truck. Then once the woman signed the bill of landing, the FBI goon squad jumped from the truck and arrested her and 4 accomplices without much resistance. Later, MasterCard, Visa, and Amex gave me reward checks for recovering stolen cards. Sweet. They used to give out $75 checks for that, but stopped doing it so much when instant authorization became popular. Working at Sears and Electronics, lady tries to return a video camera. I opened the box to check the merchandise, breaking the seal. She is visibly not happy about that and asks what I'm doing. I continue to open it. It's a camera several years old in a new box. She pretends to be surprised. Man brings in Casio keyboard box. Proclaims he bought it from one of my associates. We do not sell keyboards. I explain that to him. He is angry and asks where he got it from then. I say okay. I start to open it. He is very mad. I keep going. He runs out of the store. It's 3 pieces of plywood. For some reason the short sentence format at the end increased the hilarity. Working fast food one summer, a customer comes up and looks at my name tag, then makes some kind of rhyme out of my name. It was bad sitcom level acting. Anyway, he makes a small order, then asks for change for a 20. I was already on alert because of his stupid name thing, so I was paying extra attention to what he was doing. He handed me the money for the order, but kept the 20, watched me count out the change, then pulled back and asked for it in 5s. When I had the change in my hand, I held out my other hand for the 20. He said he had already given me the money. I just gave him a blank stare and said, number. He backtracked and was like, I'll just go get change from the gas station across the street. Right. I was in a liquor store buying a 6-pack and witnessed someone pull the I gave you a 20 not a 5 move. To which the cashier showed him the register which had number 20s in it. It's amazing how that did little to appease the person. Learn when to accept defeat, buddy. I work at a grocery store. One day, I was bagging up this lady's groceries. She was very pleasant, making both me and the cashier laugh about nothing. As I turned to put her groceries in an exchange cart, we do this to prevent theft. The lady quickly turns to me and says, excuse me, I want them in this cart. The look she gave me was one of those, you better do this or else, looks. I'm like, fine whatever since I'm only 16. No big deal. I go to place the first bag in the cart when it lands on the edge of an ad that had been sprawled out on the bottom, thus causing it to move a little. I see a little something underneath it, so, naturally, I pull back the ad. This lady has about $50 of meat and seafood underneath this ad. I proceed to ask her, oh ma'am, it seems you have forgotten to put these on the belt. Do you still want them? Of course I say this with a little snide in my voice because, even though I am just 16, I am not completely stupid and know what is going on. Oh man, if looks could kill. She curtly said, I never wanted those. Put them back for me. She paid for her order as she was saying this, and as she was walking past me with her cart, she gave me a nice, frick you, To this I replied, in my most sarcastic voice I could muster, "Have a great night." She turned around and I had the biggest smile on my face as I waved goodbye. She quickly walked out the door, visibly angry. A week later, my boss promoted me, saying this event was the reason I was getting promoted. That and some hard-working mumbo jumbo. TLDR. A lady tried to steal $50 of meat and seafood by draping an ad over it. I stopped her and got promoted. I love how being polite doing your job makes some people angry. I worked in an insurance call center and a woman phoned up to say she had spilled bleach on her carpet and needed to replace it. She had the right cover. It was policy to send an inspector from a cleaning company round to make sure it was a total loss, and this woman happened to live very close to the nearest location. I told her someone would be around to inspect her carpet ASAP and that the depot was 5 minutes away, then started taking details about the accident. She was not happy with all this, and when I asked her when it happened, she got all blustered and eventually said it hasn't happened yet, idiot. One of my friends was a purser on a cruise ship and the lengths people would go to get a free room upgrade were astonishing. The best story was a complaint from the passengers about a water leak in their room that had ruined some of their belongings. They wanted an upgrade to first class and announced they would be suing for the full replacement costs of all of their suitcases and the stuff that was in them, cameras, laptop, etc. My friend dispatched maintenance right away. Water leaks on a ship are kind of a big deal, and they were at the room within a minute of receiving the complaint, and they found that the passengers had left ice all around the cabin. Because of how fast maintenance got there, it wasn't fully melted even in the Caribbean heat, and the window was left open. Purser told the passengers they would not be upgraded, would not be moved, they had to sleep in wet beds that night, and would be charged for the cleaning costs of the room when they reached port. That's so awesome. I love when staff refuses to bend over backwards. I've posted this before. 2 ladies attempted to return a Dyson without a receipt. At Target, you can't do this if an item exceeds a certain price, $100 at the time. After arguing for some time, they leave because we can't do anything for them. Unfortunately, the joke was on us. The ladies did not walk in with the Dyson. We checked out video footage. They took it from the back and tore up the package to make it look like it had been used and whatnot. You can't do this now at Target because they have some electronic lock on it. I think it's called a spider wrap or something. 2 words. U-scan. Every day there are people who go through the U-scan with all types of things they accidentally put into bags by mistake or entered via the wrong code. There's a guy who tried to buy 10 pounds of beef filleted as bananas which were 79 cents per pound. I used to work as a pharmacy technician at Walmart while I was an undergrad. Patient comes in with a script for 10-0 oxycodone APAP tabs. Obviously forged because it's almost never written for amounts that large, but we called the prescribing physician just to make sure. The DR's response was frick no. Patient had outpatient surgery. I prescribed 10 for recovery. Let's go ahead and change that to APAP, acetaminophen, 600 mg. TL. Doctor patient added a 0 to his narcotic RX. Doctor changes RX to Tylenol. Police take patient away. In my pharmacy days, we had a few cancer patients on 400 to 805 mg oxy per month, but they were written at 800. Working at Domino's, a woman calls in and wants her money back. She said the pizzas, 4, were burnt. Technically possible, but highly unlikely. Also, she ate the pizzas anyway. We thought she was joking, but she wasn't and the manager refunded her order. She worked at that Domino's, it was just her night off. She was let go a couple of days later. That's just plain dumb to do that at the same place that you work. I worked at a restaurant a few years back. Another server used to keep all her tips in a guest check holder. One day she dropped the bill on a customer's table, but accidentally gave them the holder with all her money in it. Instead of being honest, the couple who had dinner took her cash and left, and they had the balls to come back about 2 months later. The owner told them she knew what they did and asked them to leave. Never saw them again. Having worked in the food industry, that is totally messed up. I worked at a local pizza shop that also did wings and subs. I had one guy order 24 wings and a foot-long sub. He comes up to the counter asking if he can change the wings from barbecue to hot. I change his stuff and take his order out. 30 minutes later he comes up and tells me he would like to speak to the manager. I go get my manager and she talked to him for about 10 minutes. She then brings me into the back room and asks me if I made half of the guy's sub cold and the other half toasted. She also asked if I cooked and only made half the wings hot and the other half plain. Turns out the guy licked off all of the hot sauce off of the wings and then took too long to eat his other half of the sub. He wanted his meal to be free because it was made of such poor quality. I've got plenty more if you want to hear them, but this one fits the ARP's question the best. Ugh, I hate that crap. When I was a waiter, people would always order fries and a burger, and then proceed to take 20 minutes to eat their fries first, then complain that when they got to their burger it was cold. Go fricking figure. Used to have a lot of brick-in-a-box experiences in retail electronics. Our stuff came sealed from the factory. You're not going to be able to break the seal. Remove the product, put in something of similar weight, tape it up, and return it without us opening up to check that the product is actually in there. We will check, and we can tell the difference between a £20 desktop computer and a £20 cinder block. My friend once bought 3 N64 games from a used video game store. 2 of the 3 had soap in the box instead of the game. His mom went to go take them back and the manager said that all sales are final and that he should have checked before he left the store. I used to work at a costume shop and apparently for about a year before I started working there an elderly lady had been coming into the store, buying wigs, using them and trashing them out pretty much, for about a week, then returning them for a store credit and getting a new one. The owner was a big softie, so for whatever dumb reason he had been letting her get away with it. The first time she came in to do this scam I was alone in the store and didn't know about this agreement scam and flat out refused her and told her to come back when the owner was going to be in the store. That weekend I went to my family reunion and lo and behold it turns out the scammer was my great aunt. After talking to a few relatives it was made clear to her she was no longer allowed to scam the store I worked at anymore. Whoa, small world. I used to work in automotive service, and one day right at closing this young kid comes in with a piece of crap car that is knocking and smoking and literally about to die. The oil light is on as it obviously has no oil pressure, and he asks for an oil change. I shoulder listened to my instinct and sent him on his way, but we went ahead and serviced the car. After, it still wouldn't pick up oil pressure, and was knocking and smoking just as bad as before. We finished up and told him his engine is basically fricked, notated that same info on his receipt, then sent him on his way. The next day, we get a call from this kid's older brother that the car is broken down and we need to come check it out. I arrive where the car is, and upon seeing which car it actually is, know immediately that a scam is brewing. Sure enough, these buttholes had removed the oil drain plug and blamed us for his blown engine. I told Big Brother to take a big flying frick off. That I'm not stupid and I know how bad that engine was before we ever touched it. I basically told him to go ahead and sue us, and we'd see them in court, and I left. Never heard another word from them. Definitely hard to scam someone when they know their way around a car. I used to work at Papa John's and we got scammers all the time. Policy was, if you complain enough, we give you free pizza. One driver, John, had been working there for 5 years and had certain latitude for dealing with problem customers. So one day a lady calls, complaining that we left a pizza cutter in the box. I don't know why this would be a major issue, but it was a blatant lie. We had 3 cutters in the store. It did not take advanced math to determine that she was full of BS. She yelled up a storm, trying to get free food, as the manager tried to play peacemaker until he had enough and handed the phone to John. He lets her rant for a bit before this. Blah 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 and I was so upset I might never order from you again. You promise? What? Do you promise? If you swear to God that you will never contact this business again, I will personally make you a pizza and drive it to your house right there. Fine now. Wah? Fine. John hung up the phone and went to make a pepperoni and mushroom pizza, smiling all the way. A buddy of mine used to work at Walmart. He said some guy returned a flat screen TV and when they opened the box it was full of jars of jelly. Why he used jelly to weigh it down I will never know. I sell used clothing on eBay for a living. It isn't much, but I earn more than I would with a full-time minutes wage job. Anyways, I sold a pair of dress pants to a gentleman living in Portland, Oregon. A week and a half later, he wanted to return the pants, stating they were not to his satisfaction, and that he wanted me to refund him for the return shipping. My response: sure, no problem. Just send them back, and I'll refund you original sale price and original shipping and return shipping once I receive them. Great, I am currently stationed in the Philippines and am sending them back right now. The shipping costs will be $26.95. Me: unfortunately I can't refund your shipping costs from the Philippines, since I originally shipped them to Portland. I am more than happy to refund you the cost from Portland, I hope you understand. He was obviously not happy about this, but sent them back anyways. Fast forward a month or so. When I opened the package, I took out the pants only to discover what looked like crap smeared all over the garment. I mean totally covered. I am 100% positive I never sold them like that. I can only assume he took the return shipping to heart. I waited a week to contact the man about the pants. Below was the conversation. Me: I received the pants, thank you. Him: did you see the pants? He wants me to blow up about the crappy return condition, but I reserve myself. Me: I did. Thank you. At this point, it had been more than 60 days since the transaction, making it too late for him to file a claim with eBay or PayPal. I never refunded him anything, just a thank you. Moral: if someone intentionally does something to pee you off, never ever give them the satisfaction of knowing how it made you feel. Moral: if someone intentionally does something to pee you off, never ever give them the satisfaction of knowing how it made you feel. Sad this will be lost in the sea of 5,000 comments. Okay, this is my best. Worked at a certain retail computer store. Customer comes in with a shopping cart filled to the brim with UPS boxes that were sent from the online store of the company I work for. All in all, it's about 15 grand worth of servers and high-end computers. He wants me to return them for him in cash, on the spot. Aside from the fact that the servers are both custom and not even available in retail stores, there is no way I could hand this guy $15,000 in cash and let him walk off. I explain all of this, he needs to return them to the online store he bought them from. I don't even carry these products, etc. And he loses his crap screaming. Seriously, screaming about what a thief I am and how much money he has wasted on my company and how he will have my head. Me and a manager tried to calm him down, but he was freaking out, so we called security. He retreated to just beyond the border of the store and stood 10 yards away still screaming about what a terrible person I am. Security comes and escorts him away. He is banned from the store, his photo goes on the wall, name taken down, all that. 1 week later I, crap you the frick not, Reddit. The dude comes back in, with a shaved head, wearing huge aviators, quietly approaches me and requests the exact same thing. He looked like the dude from Taxi Driver at this point, so I am marginally scared he's about to stab me or something. I go, man, we told you can't come around here anymore. I can't help you with this. He says to me, oh, that was my twin. He causes lots of problems for me like this. I'm sure we can move past it. I'm like, stunned. I go get my manager and he repeats this story again. We're pretty much so stunned, all I can say is we just can't help you with this. I'm sorry, you have to leave. He loses it again, yelling, calling me a thief, threatening to come find me later. This time the real cops come and escort him away again. Crazy sucker, TL, DR. Crazy sucker shaved his head to trick me into believing he was his problem causing twin and get me to give him $15K in exchange for ups boxes of product. Years ago I worked for a Goodwill thrift store. I was on the closing shift, on register, and rung up a 30-something-year-old woman. One of the items she was buying was footy pajamas. She went on and on about how warm and comfy they looked and she couldn't wait to put them on and snuggle up with a cup of cocoa. The next morning I am the opening cashier. Here comes the same woman from the night before to return her entire purchase because nothing had fit. However, the items she was returning were not the ones she had bought. She was furious, denied that she had simply retagged other clothes for the return, and had no idea what I was talking about. We had her previous purchase on tape as well. Manager ended up taking 3 items back that could have maybe been what she bought. Same colors. She was banned not long after that as she pulled the scam at many locations. Another goodwill trick was to make purchases and get a card stamped, one stamp for every $20 spent or the like, and return the items without presenting the card. Once a card was filled it was worth $10 off store credit. They have since discontinued that stupid promotion. I work at a used video game record store, and we get our fair share of nut jobs. The issue to take the cake, though, was about 2 months ago. A woman came in to trade in a few boxes of DVDs, CDs and the like. My manager and I spent about a half of an hour looking at condition of the discs, and every single one looked like it had been ice skated on. There was even a few cases with dead insects in them. Utterly disgusting. We told her that we had to reject all of her trade because of the poor condition. She flips crap. She starts screaming that we're racist and that she's going to bring her boys down to jump us. Then out of nowhere, she sprints out of the store, leaving all of her crap. 2 hours later, she comes back in, says nothing and just starts loitering around the cash register. Out of nowhere, she begins screaming that my manager sexually harassed her to a store full of customers. My manager is gay. TL. Doctor. Lady P at unacceptable trade, accuses my gay manager of molesting her. She can't help it if she's sexy and turned him back again. I used to work for Subway and there was this one lady who would come in once every 2 weeks at about the same time. I first encountered her my second week working, so I was still pretty new to the job. She told me she was highly allergic to mayonnaise and I would have to change gloves, knives, wipe down the entire preparation counter and use wax paper instead of normal paper. Not knowing about her, I did all that was asked, thinking this was serious business, and we didn't want to get sued for causing an allergic breakout. After I cleaned everything she asked and got her bread prepared, she told me she wanted tuna salad. This woman wanted tuna fricking salad. I told her that our tuna salad was made almost entirely with mayonnaise, and she argued with me. She told me she had been coming to this Subway for years and they never made their tuna salad with mayonnaise. Thoroughly confused, I went and asked my manager. Come to find out she did this every time and she just wanted someone to skip a part of the cleaning so she could complain and get her money back. A homeless man in better clothes than I was used to seeing him in, came into the store I was managing at the time and abruptly stated in a confident tone, "I own this store now and I would like to know a few things." Well, I knew the owner of that store quite personally and assured the man that no, in fact he didn't own the liquor store, as I was more than certain that the owner would have told me far ahead of time if that was even the case. So I told this guy that. Guy shakes his head and then asks to come behind the counter to look over the records. At this point I'm mystified. This guy actually woke up and thought he could pull something so dumb, so short-sighted, and so ridiculous as that he would think I would fall for it. So, I called the owner right then and there and told him the story. It is total BS, just like I thought. Funny thing is, the guy would not back down and I had to ultimately threaten to call the cops before he ran out of the store never to be seen again. I had a hearty laugh that day, but honestly, what the frick? He decided that morning that he was going to live the dream. Man, he was going to own that liquor store. Was working the returns desk at Walmart. Someone is returning a PS2. I take the box off the counter and prepare to open it to inspect it. Feels a little light. Open the box and remove it from the packaging. It's wood shaped and glued in the shape of a PS2. Spray painted black, with an actual PS2 serial number sticker on the back, in the correct location, so if you just look through the hole in the box to see the serial, it looks normal. The customer said it was like this when we got it. We kept the fake PS2 and told them to leave. Last I heard, the fake PS2 was still in the manager's office. That's dedication to retardation there, XD. I used to work at a Reebok outlet store. Our return policy was the same as a lot of places. Receipt means you can get money back. No receipt means you can only get store credit exchange. We had a guy that would come in every week and exchange 25 polo shirts in all different sizes, styles. It was always 25 shirts, and nobody ever seemed to remember him carrying the return shirts into the store. He was pretty clearly just walking into the store, grabbing 50 shirts, and exchanging 25 of them for the other 25. I don't know why he needed that many shirts. Maybe he was selling them or something. Anyway, I make up my mind that I am not going to let this guy get away with it anymore. I didn't even care that he was stealing from the store. I just didn't like that he thought he was being clever. So the next time he came in, I watched him like a hawk. I saw him do exactly what we thought, just grabbing 50 shirts and walking up to the counter to exchange half of them for the other half. Except before he could say anything, I said, "Wow, buying a lot of shirts today or something like that?" He said, "No, I'm actually returning these for these." I just replied, "Sir, you can't return shirts that you haven't bought yet." He got all indignant and defensive, but obviously realized he was caught. So he left the shirts on the counter and started to leave the store, saying, "You just lost yourself a long time customer." I told him to stop and said completely straight-faced, "Sir, we have cameras in the store and in the parking lot, so we know you were stealing and we know your license plate number. I also have your name and address from the ad you gave me for the returns. You're going to buy all 50 of those shirts or I'm going to call the police." He stopped, hastily walked over, bought all 50 shirts, left the store and never came back. And no, we did not have any security cameras. Persuade equals intimidate, bribe. Mixlave for 5 years, 3 of them as a manager. There was this lady, who may have had some mental deficits, who used to come through the drive-thru every day around noon on first shift and order 1 large Coke. No food, no different drink, nothing. When she'd get up to the window, she'd say something along the lines of, "Oh, number, I left my wallet at home. Since you've already made the drink anyway, can I just get it for free?" Every day we'd say no. Every day she'd come back. We made certain that no one was ever actually handing the drink out, so she never had a reason to believe we'd say yes. But every day she'd still come back and try the same thing. So many times I just wanted to say to her, "Just do it like everyone else. Come inside, order a water, and get Coke at the fountain instead," but that'd be very unmanager-like of me. I used to work for the Source Radio Shack in the US in a very low traffic area, so we wouldn't get any people who come in just to browse like at the malls. People came in with an idea of what they wanted, and it was up to me to get it for them. So I am alone. Manager is on lunch, and this old frail lady walks in. I ask if I can help her and she gives me a scoff and rolls her eyes. I need a cell phone. I help her out as much as I can. I tell her that pay as you go are the cheapest rates and have no contracts to bind you. She seems pleased but decides to purchase a Rogers phone on a 2-year contract. Whatever, more commission for me. 3 weeks later she comes in unhappy and asks to return the phone. I explained to her that it would cost around $400 to cancel the plan she has created and that she is too late for a refund. 15 days max. She gets pee and storms out. 2 months later she comes in, attitude up the wazoo, telling me that I sold her a busted phone and she wants all of her money back. I was alone again, so I asked her to give me her phone so I can look at it. I present my hand and she reaches over to hand it to me. At the last sec she moves her hand a bit to the side and drops the phone on the tips of my fingers, where it then falls to the floor. She goes ape crap. "You broke my phone. I want my money back and I want a new phone, blah blah blah." I try to explain to her that her Nokia 3100-esque phone will not break from a simple fall. You would need to throw the phone into the fire of Mount Doom to destroy it. She doesn't agree and starts yapping. I tell her that even if her phone was an expensive smartphone like my BlackBerry, it would take the fall and still work. "So drop it," she says. I ask if I drop my phone from the same height and it still works if she will leave, and she agrees. Now I am not going to drop my brand new BlackBerry I purchased just weeks before to some dumb old coot that is sour because she didn't listen to my first advice. I think quick on my feet and remember the stash of fake plastic phones right under the counter. I grab one that looks just like my phone and Kamehameha that crap right into the floor where it shatters in 100 pieces. We both stare at the pieces for a sec, and she is astonished. She fumbles with her things and takes her phone and never comes back. That's so awesome. You probably startled the crap out of her. Not a typical screw over, but in the town where I go to college, University of Massachusetts Amherst, there is a pretty well-known, almost famous pizza place called Antonio's. Amherst also gets a decent amount of large musical acts because of our big indoor stadium. Well, When Bob Dylan came through last fall, someone went into Antonio's and said, "Hi, I'm with Bob Dylan's store. We need 175 pizzas for tomorrow night." Antonio's crew works through the entire night to have no one pick up the pizzas. It was just some D-bag student playing a joke. He later confessed and was charged the cost of the pizzas, $3,900. TLDR. Guy places huge pizza order pretending to work for Bob Dylan. Succeeds, then confesses. I'm surprised you would take such a large order and not demand payment in advance. Back when I worked at Dunkin' Donuts, a customer used to come in and ask for a cup of water. He would then mix in lemon juice. We had packets of this because some people like lemon with tea, sugar, and salt to create some free ghetto lemonade. Technically he was screwing us over, but I thought it was hilarious, so I didn't hassle him or anything. Reminds me of this couple who would come in. The man would just sit there with a defeated look. The wife would order 2 sides of toast and a 2 side of peanut butter. They'd then use the free jelly to make PB&J sandwiches, which we also had on the menu. They were saving $1.25 per sandwich. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.